I'm going to be talking about Cheyenne culture and historical orientation. And what that means is Cheyenne culture is a powerful way of life that was embedded in us from day one. Our way of life was our institution of learning. They taught us how to hunt. They taught us how to do things to survive. And when we went out, the younger boys, they would have these little webbed rings, and they'd throw them in the air, and they would throw spears at them. And that was education, because it gave them the ability to shoot a rabbit when it was running. And they improved their skill when they kept throwing at that round ring. And if they hit the center of that round ring, that was the heart. So they practice, and practice. They become a good skilled hunter, a good skilled warrior. And so these might have been games to us, but they were classes, so to speak. They taught us how to make these things, how to do these things. So that's the orientation of how we learned. It was informal education, but our oral history, our stories, the way we did things, like I said, was our first institution of learning, informal education. Now we go to college for our formal education. And I told the story yesterday about the spear, the bow, the arrow. Those were our weapons to protect us, but we used those weapons to provide for us as well. They were tools of survival, tools of instruments used on everyday life. And I told him, I said, today we no longer have those weapons. We still can make them, but we don't use them. And today our weapons are our education that we get, informal education, our degrees. Those are our weapons that we use today, and that protects us and our families. It provides for us, but it also excels our knowledge and skills that we live with today, every day. And so, to me, that transition from the orientation of our way of life to now academic, it's very unique that we can parallel the cultural way of life and the academic way of life today in telling these stories. What does that mean to me? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to this college? What does it mean to this National Park Service unit? And you orientate yourself in everything that's happened. It's the dynamic way of how we do things. That our dynamics are powerful. They all move together. And that movement is called circular movement. We don't do things in a linear way. From here to when time started, evolution, to now, 2022, we don't see that linear line of time. We live in a circular movement. Everything's round. The earth, the sun, the moon. Our encampment is in a circle. And within that circle, you have these 4 seasons. You have the spring, the summer, the fall, and winter. And when we go through that complete cycle and that whole 12 months, that whole year, we completed another year. And sometimes we'll document things in drawings of what happened that year. And last year, I did a ledger drawing. And I put mask on my men and women, a mask, a black mask. And they said, Gordon, why did you do that? I said, because of COVID. The black mask, they'll say, how come they got masks on? Well, because of COVID. We have to protect ourselves. So that drawing was used at our elders conference, that image. And to me, it was powerful. So going back to the circle of life, as we move in a circular movement, we're going this way, clockwise. And when we first start in the middle, It's the union between our parents. The union between our parents, right in the center. And as we move down, we start the circle. We're born. We can't see. We can't talk. So our parents care for us. They nurture us. And that bond starts right there, and it goes around. And over here, about here, we go into first grade, preschool, Head Start. We're starting our education, our life, with the support of our parents, our grandparents. And you take the next step over here, this second one up here, you're starting to transition from a teenager to a young man, a young lady. And you're trying to find your identity. Where do I fit in? Where do I go from here? You kind of struggle. And then when you get right over here in the center, you kind of coming out of high school, you're going to graduate. Votech, high school. And then you're going to start over here. You're going to get to the top. You're going to start going to college. Again, support from your mom and dad, your loved ones, and your tribe. Tribes give us scholarships today for our education. So then you get over here, then you're an adult now. After you graduate college, you got to find a job. You got to go to work. I had to go to work over here because I got to pay back all my student loans. So then you find a job, you start a career, supporting yourself, your family. You just keep going. And then over here on this part of the circle, then you feel like you accomplished everything, but there's a lot of things still to do. So you're a busy bee, working, doing this. And then over here, you come to that last part of the circle, retirement. You slow down. And then you look back at all of this, where I've been, the orientation of yourself, your family. You accomplished a lot of things. You represented your family in a good way. You're a leader. You might be a governor, lieutenant governor, legislator. You might be a chief, a headsman, a warrior, a veteran. You might be a teacher, but you're a professional over here. And then as they enter that last phase, like I said, you go back into dormancy. You're getting old, your hair will change color. And you start to depend on other people to take care of you again. You start to lose your eyesight. Can't hardly use my memory of things I used to know. And sometimes it's hard and difficult for us to get to that last stage because we turn back into an infant. Can't see anymore. Can't hear. Other people have to help us. It's difficult. But then when you look at the full circle, we honor you for completing that circle of life. Then you'll go back to the center again where you started, your union between your parents. And when you get to that center, you're now at the central core of the Cheyenne universe. You've completed your life, and you're going on your journey. And to me, that's awesome. Because we did the best we could with our skills, how we lived our life, how we loved one another, how we respect one another, and how we learned from one another through all these trials, all the tribulations, all the hardships, all the illness. But we lived a good life, and we always pay that high honor to you for those accomplishments in your life. So that's why we live in this circle. It's not linear. And so when we complete that, just like we've done here, we send the warriors on their journey because the rituals and the songs weren't done for them when they were here. That was our whole goal and intent coming here with the permission of the tribes that live here, and then gave us permission to come and honor our relatives. So now they're on their journey. They're on that horse, traveling. And they're looking back at us, telling us, "Haho, ne'aish. Thank you. I'm going now." And he tells us, "Don't cry for me. Be happy for me." So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back home, tell their relatives and families of these warriors that we've done the best we could to send them on their journey. And we're going to embrace them, because they never got that chance to do that with these warriors. Comfort them and respect them. So that's the story of our life, circle of life, our cultural ways. And in this journey, these warriors, they saw landmarks. They saw a train, never saw one. They saw cultural landscapes, hills, rolling hills, rivers and streams. And they knew they were leaving their tribal communities, their families. But they had the unique ability to stay connected to their people with places of the past, the present, and looking forward in these drawings in the future. They were strong individuals within our communities, strong leaders. We all depended upon them to provide for us, protect us, and educate us. These cultural landscapes are sacred places of the Cheyenne and Arapaho, as well as other tribes. This fort is hallowed ground, sacred place to us now. We know that now, because we started that yesterday. Their treasures are directly related to our oral stories. These are treasures. We honor them because they're telling the oral stories through these ledger drawings. These ledger and oral histories of our visual images shape our community and our identity of who we are. It empowers us to continue to be sacred and live in a sacred way, in a sacred manner. Be respectful to yourself as an individual and respect your people. And in turn, they'll turn and respect you as a leader. We always think about intangible spiritual life ways. But for us, there's always the tangible. We have to have balance. And this example, this metaphor, this thing that really happened, this COVID, we couldn't see it, couldn't smell it, couldn't touch it. It's intangible to us, but we learned how to accept it. We learned how to adapt and protect ourselves and our loved ones. Our cultural ways will always stand tall, stand strong. Whether those cultural ways are forgotten, we'll never forget them. And we will stand strong today by our leaders for tomorrow and a long, long time in the future. And I thank Governor Wasson, Reggie Wasson, for having his vision of tomorrow starts today. Thank you very much.